start all your compliments again, okay? All right, go ahead.
Oh, let me get on video too. Okay, so you say that you have 70 plus agents in productivity coaching.
That's right.
I'm blown away, absolutely blown away when Aubrey mentioned it the other day in our ALC meeting. I asked like 3 times. Incredible results, Bill. You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
Big things are going to happen in 2021 for the office. I'm so impressed that there's 70 plus agents in this office that have the go get 'em attitude.
Yeah.
And have an understanding of how invaluable productivity coaching with Bill is. It's absolutely the key to starting your business off correctly. So
thank you.
Kudos to you guys. Kudos to you guys, and you're in the right place.
Yeah, thank you.
You're definitely in the right
like
place.
I've said to the group is, look, we all had this goal when we got our real estate license to like be a business owner and build this thing and have control over our income and our time. And as you will, I'm sure, share with us, Michelle, every day isn't awesome, right?
No.
And there's a lot to learn and a lot to figure
No.
out before you can have these the life that you're trying to have. And
That's right.
now we all know it's possible, but I believe it's really helpful to have somebody walk in side by side with you as you're growing it, as you're learning, and as you're figuring it all out. And you know, I believe that this is an opportunity for people to have just a phenomenal life and anything that they want.
I would replace the word helpful with imperative.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to do a
nobody
little. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
put this on like the Roswell's Facebook group and make sure they heard that if somebody wants to turn around and be an ALC member and they want to be, you know, building out a team and all the stuff that I know is coming down the pike for you.
Yep.
It's time to work, right?
Yeah. I've not gotten anywhere without a coach at any time in my life. Especially when you're starting off something new. You know, Keller Williams is the #1 training company in the country. I mean, in the world for real estate, but for any business, and that's for a reason.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be garnered out there, but it's also like drinking from a fire hose. I'm sure a lot of you would agree. So having a coach such as this that's free until you make money, it's just a no-brainer. It really is. I get nothing for saying that, right? I get nothing for saying that.
No, you'll get nothing for saying that. I got some cookies or chocolate or something over here.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump right in, guys. Hopefully we'll have a few more people filing in, and we are recording this, so it'll be available on YouTube a little bit later. But I first want to say thank you, Michelle, for volunteering to spend an hour with us.
You're welcome.
I believe that today you'll get, or my goal for today is that you will, hopefully we'll get to know you a little bit better and kind of your background and some of your hobbies and passions. And we want to hear your story, right? What attracted you to real estate in the first place? How did you ultimately find Roswell? How did you cap in what was it, like 3 days or something like that? Wasn't it something insane like that?
I capped. Yeah, my second year I capped in 3 days.
Yeah. So I certainly want to give you the opportunity to share how that ended up happening. I'm searching here for the letter that you wrote me privately, but I'm wondering if I want to say you printed it out and just handed it to me. I don't think you emailed it to me. And I'll use this as an introduction because this is a big deal. Okay. Michelle is a woman who came to us in Roswell, correct me if I'm wrong, never having done a transaction.
Right.
And
but already in real estate for a year. I'd already had my license for a year.
She'd been in another KW office, been there for over a year, hadn't done a deal yet. Okay, which should give you guys some faith and some hope, right? And she walked into my office and she put a letter down and she's like, I will be on the ALC next year, just so you know. Right. And I was like, I like this. Right. And what do we talk about all the time in here? Intentionality. Right. and setting a goal and being super clear about it. The next step is to surround yourself with people that have the influence, if you will, to make that happen, right? And not only the influence, but the kind of the capacity and the character and access to the appropriate tools and all that stuff. So she surrounded herself with those people.
Yep.
Right. And then she went to work. Right. And she didn't let the disappointments that come at us all the time get in her way.
And they still happen.
Of course. And what do we know? She capped in 3 days. So she has, what would that be? 362 days of being at 100%.
It makes the math really easy when you get your check too.
Yes, it does.
We've already found out that I'm not good at math. So you're like, you don't have to figure out, I'm getting 3%. You're getting 3%, not 3% minus their split, minus their,
Just cap in 3 days and the math is really easy. And it's been wonderful getting to know you. It's been wonderful to watch your progress and watch your your growth and your professionalism and your market knowledge and your passions come through. I miss our I'm gonna compliment you and possibly call you out for a second if that's okay. You came up with what I thought was a phenomenal idea last year and invited me to be on your board of directors.
Yeah.
Although the board of directors hasn't met in a while, so maybe we should have our first 2021 board of directors meeting.
We're practicing. We're not going to perfect it the first year, but yeah,
So
I've got plans. We're going to talk about that actually.
I'm ready for the board of directors 2021 kickoff meeting.
Yep. You should
even if it doesn't include chips and salsa, which if you haven't figured out is the key to my heart.
Okay. I'm writing that down.
Right.
I'm writing that down.
And I've been super impressed. To sum it up, Michelle, I've been super impressed. You got a great energy. You just like you would expect from a leader, a sense of community and contribution. You've given back to our office in many, many ways, and I'm grateful for that. So I wanted to publicly express my appreciation. So there is a pretty good intro for Michelle Slater. However, I want to give her the opportunity to share kind of your story a little bit. So I'll ask you a couple questions and kind of move you along as we take our way from the day you were born until today. And I appreciate you. I know you got a super busy calendar. I appreciate you making this a part of your day today. So Michelle.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what brought you to real estate.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that amazing introduction. You read it almost word for word as I wrote it. You did forget the part about how thin I am, but it's okay. How you were sweating.
This is being recorded, so I have to watch that stuff.
Yeah, it was on page 2. Well, next time. Yeah. So how did I get into real estate? God, I'll try to keep it short. How do I do that? Let's see. So originally, I was supposed to be a singer. That's all I ever wanted to do. I decided at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a country singer and I wanted to be famous. And that was the path I followed until I was 30. By the time I was 12, I had sung in over 300 places. By the time I was 27, I'd had 2 record deals, like pending record deals that fell through and didn't happen. And here I was at almost 30, still waiting tables, trying to make ends meet in Nashville. And I lost my last deal. And it just hit me of like, this ain't gonna happen. This ain't gonna happen, because the odds are at 30 plus, especially a female in country music, you're not gonna get this record deal. And so with my tail between my legs, my cat in a box, and 1 suitcase, I moved back to my hometown of Orlando, Florida, lived on my friend's couch for 3 months. I didn't have a car. I didn't have really a skill set. I mean, I did. I I did modeling and I did acting and I did commercials and I did all those things, but there was never a steady enough income to do those things full time. I had to kind of like rebuild my life, if you will. And I did. I worked hard. I'm a hard worker. I always have been. I feel like I have good people skills. So I used what I had. I didn't have a college degree. I'm 30. I haven't worked at some company for 8 years where I can like show my resume and walk in somewhere and get a $40,000 a year job. Just didn't. So I took what I had and I started working more full time in retail. And within a year, I was managing a store. I think at one point, like, I'm sleeping on a sofa. I don't have a car. I'm like $6,000 in credit card debt. And within a year, now this is like 1999. Within a year, I'm making 40 grand running a store and managing people. So through that, I bought a house. And my friend was my real estate agent. And she was like, you really should get into real estate. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't have any money. I'd have to start my own business. So she was married at the time. So of course I was like, yeah, well, your husband's paying the mortgage and, all of that while you're in between deals. So I pursued retail for a long time. But if any of you have done retail, it's a dead end road. And it's very physically draining. And it is, there's no work-life balance to it. It's your working holidays, your working weekends. You literally have to ask if you can go to the bathroom, and I'm not kidding, right? So I always knew that I wanted to go into real estate, that was going to be the career choice for me when and if I had the stability to start. So I think, gosh, it was still another 15 years before I got my real estate license. I waited for my kids to get a little bit bigger. Daycare is not cheap, right? So to go and start a business and put 3 kids in daycare was not an option either. So I got my license. I started at another Keller Williams, and I was just like I was. I'm like, all I got to do is work hard, apply myself, and highlight my strengths. And I got all these friends, and I'm going to be off to the races. Within 6 months, I'm going to buy myself a red Range Rover. I'm going to shop at Anthropologie every day. I'm going to get my nails done. I'm ready to go. I took all the classes you could take. I was a student. I was a regular face at this Keller Williams office, much like I am here. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. I got a listing for $1.8 million through some friends of mine who were selling a historic house. And I thought, here it comes. I'm going to sell this house and buy a Range Rover. I'm the number one. I have the highest listing in the office out of the top office in all of Georgia. Here it comes. Success is on my heels. I ended up firing those clients after 4 months and then refusing 3 offers for a reasonable amount of money. And there I was with nothing. I'd been to family reunion. I'd been to mega camp, nothing. I'd spent a lot of money. That's just the truth of it. 30 grand. Just babysitters, cars, everything you need to get started, right?
Yep.
I came back from family reunion and I was like, you know what? God, that was fun. I'm having so much fun at this office. It's just fun, right? I don't know how many of you are stay-at-home moms, but I was a stay-at-home mom for 7 years. I still ran a business on the side. But just finally getting out and being around people and getting dressed, it was fun, but I wasn't making any money. Thank God my husband wasn't like, we've been at this for a year and you're not making any money. It's time to go back and work at the mall. Thank God, because I'd have folded and been like, you're right, I'm sorry. But he was very supportive, very patient. And because he was that, I recognized I owe it to myself, I owe it to my kids, and I owe it to him to make something out of this. Everyone believes in me. I can't quit now. And I'm not going to go work at the mall. I can't. I'm old. And I have 3 kids. I'm not going to be hanging signs on Christmas Eve and working on Black Friday. No. So I came back from family reunion all pumped up and highly educated. And I was like, I got to make a change, right? If you keep doing the same thing, what are you going to get?
Same results.
Same results. I was down in Atlanta, but I lived in Roswell, and I'm heavily connected to Roswell and the business owners, and I'm very involved in Roswell and politics and whatnot. And I called Bill, he's the team leader at the time, and I said, do you guys have an office with a window? Because if you do, I'm going to move my license to your office. And you were kind of like, don't you want to come in and interview us and talk with us? And I'm like, sure, okay. Because I'm thinking, like, I get along with everybody. If I don't get along with you and I just don't talk to you, it's like I don't have a problem with who you are or what you do or what you run. It's like you gotta, because with the office I was in, it was like a 5-year wait for an office with a window. And I just knew, I was like, I gotta go every day. That's what I need to do that I'm not doing.
I think I put you on hold, and I'm like, Roseanne, we're gonna have you move offices again.
Yeah, anything. Yes, we have an office with a window. Yeah, like, okay. So, because what I recognized was that I needed to be in the office every day. I was willy-nilly coming. I had a booth at the other office or whatever, but I was willy-nilly coming in, right? 9, 10, maybe not this day, maybe coming in for a class, coming in. I wasn't following a schedule. So if you hear anything, treat your business like a business, because it is a business. I think Bob, I don't remember which guy said it. He goes,
Bob,
some of you, maybe it was Bob. Yeah, treat your business. But this, he said, some of you, if you were your own employee of your company, would fire yourself.
Bob Klinsky has absolutely said that.
Yeah. Yeah. In other words, it was like, if I ran the company, which I do, if this was my employee, like, oh, just show up Wednesday at 11 and then talk in the lobby for 30 minutes and laugh and cut up and then go to team meeting and have lunch and come back and stare at your laptop. Like, if that's somebody on my team, I would have fired him already. So that hit me, like, I'm not doing the activities. I'm maybe scattered with what they are, but so anyway, I came to the Roswell office. Any questions before I move on? Because I could talk. I'm going to have a lot more to say, but any questions before I move on from you, Bill, or anybody?
No, you're doing great.
Okay. So I came into this office. I decided I was going to come in every day. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do when I got there, but I was at least going to get up and be here every day. No excuses. It's 5 minutes from my house. So at the time, the productivity coaching, but they didn't have that for some reason at the other office, or it wasn't highlighted. And because this office was smaller, I think I was falling through the cracks at the other office and maybe not aware of some of the things that were available to me. Whereas here it was like, oh, what's this productivity coaching? How much is it? It's free. What do I have to do? Like, everything they wanted me to do was like, I want to do that. That's what I know I need to do. And so I signed up for productivity coaching in March, no, in April.
Free until you have a transaction. We didn't just
well, sure. Yeah, but that's a no-brainer because, right, I'd already spent so much money.
I've already gotten like 4 private messages about, hey, what it's free?
Yeah, so I worked hard being around other like-minded people who were doing the same things and having success at it, or doing more than what I was doing and having success at it, was the key ingredient to finally cracking the code to getting some transactions closed. That accountability was everything. The dailiness of it was everything. Right now, you might not get to be surrounded by someone who's doing 20 transactions, but you have books that you can play in your ears from people who are doing 20 plus transactions. You have classes that you can take. Just eliminate all the other garbage and just stay focused on the people and the information that's going to cause you to win. The other thing with productivity coaching was time blocking. Whether I time blocked or not, my day was time blocked because we had to be here every morning at 9 a.m., sometimes 8 a.m. We would have a 30-minute sort of lesson. watch an inspirational video, have a mastermind where we would talk and discuss, and then everybody would get busy on the phones. A lot of times half the room would leave and go make calls somewhere else. And I would do that, and the same thing would happen. I'd sit and stare at my computer and not make any calls. So then I realized, like, I got to stay in this room and hear other people calling. And that's what I did. I started making calls. What's funny though, that you should hear, making the calls initially is not what produced closings. What making the calls did was it changed who I was and made me a realtor. Don't be married to the results as much as who you become on the way to those activities.
Wait, let me push you a tiny bit on that. So when you said making the calls, the biggest benefit initially from making the calls is it caused you to be a realtor. What is, I think I know what you mean, but can you go into a little bit more detail, please?
Yeah. Hi, this is Michelle Slater. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams Realty Consultants. I live in your neighborhood in Martin's Landing. I'm one of your neighbors. I'm just calling around to see if you or anybody you know is thinking about selling. Maybe, then the conversation starts happening. Well, how long have you lived in your house? Where would you go if you did move? What do you know are the most recent sales in the neighborhood? What do you think your house would sell for? You know what? If I don't know the answers to those questions, what's the point of me? So it changed me because I was basically taking listing consultations every day on the phone. I was getting the opportunity to practice having conversations with people that are listing. It got me comfortable talking on the phone. Then I found like, oh, like they know more than I do. Like I don't need that to happen. So I started studying the market every morning, looking at Martin's Landing, who's listing, who's selling, looking at Facebook at my Martin's Landing pages. Martin's Landing is the neighborhood that I lived in at the time. And I thought,
at the time, before you got to the point where you capped in 3 days.
Yep. And moved to a nicer neighborhood. Yes. And a better school district. No, I'm not allowed to say that. That's steering. But yeah, I started looking at Facebook and like when I would make these calls, like, well, who is this person? And then I'd find them on Facebook, friending them on Facebook. It got me in the activities of making the calls, creating listing appointments, and being comfortable and confident.
Right.
Mindset.
You were behaving like a realtor ought to behave. Yes. And you were becoming a realtor. Like, I know we have our license and stuff, but you were doing the things that realtors that are successful do.
Yep.
And what do you know? After a little while, you start having success.
Yeah, because there was a time, I hope some of you can empathize with this. There was a time where I was like, I don't really understand what I do. Like, I get it, like, because we have so many classes about lead generating, but we don't have a lot of like, what do I do once I get the transaction that sets me apart from the next person? And I think I struggled with how to sell myself because I hadn't done it a little line to like what my value was. And the more I studied the market every day, the more I studied the trends via chart masters, and looked at the sales and who was closing what and what it ended up closing for, and then actually getting some transactions. Then I realized like, oh wow, this is what I do. Then I could come from a place of value and tell people more firsthand. So I would say getting those first couple of transactions are crucial to you unearthing who you are as a realtor and what value you offer. You're not going to do them perfectly. The first couple of transactions, definitely being in PC was huge because I was surrounded by these agents that were 20 plus that I didn't feel uncomfortable asking for their help. So you've got Bill, you've got Susan. I'm not sure who in the group is more, the higher close transactions.
Pam, Kathy Ray.
Oh my
Jenny
gosh.
Green. I mean, there's a number of people who have got tons of experience.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So, Actually, where I got my first transaction was I'd had this lender in my contacts forever, and everyone kept saying, you need to talk to him. He lives in Martin's Landing and he really wants to do more business in Martin's Landing. I was too embarrassed to call him because I didn't want him to know I had never had a transaction. And I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't even understand the mortgage industry yet because I don't have a transaction. I left the office one day to go to lunch at Mr. Taco, and he was there with one of my friends, and we were introduced, and he's like, oh my God, I've been dying to meet you.
See, great things happen at Mr. Taco.
Yep.
Do they not?
Yeah, they do. But it's a testament to what happened when I switched offices and got closer to my sphere too. So I got introduced to him, and he said, here's the deal. He said, you've got an agent in your office that does most of the transactions in Martin's Landing, and I can't get into Martin's Landing as a mortgage lender because she's been doing it so long, she's already got a lender. I need someone like you who's up and coming, that will be up and coming with me, and we can grow this thing together and blow her out of the water. And he said, I want you to help my brother. Yep. He said, I want you to help my brother buy and sell a house. I mean, what higher compliment? Oh yeah. Yep. What higher compliment than to have a mortgage lender say, I want you to help my brother. So that was my first transaction.
That's awesome. So one of the things that we are, as it's no surprise, a lot of our agents are, you know, this is a challenge that all new people have to overcome, is that they have to have a bit of, there's a lot of faith involved, right? You have to have faith that, like, you know, they keep telling me to do these calls and this follow-up and, you know, keep track of my calendar and practice my presentations and all that stuff. And they keep telling me it's going to result in business. Yet now we're at 6 months and I don't have a deal. Now we're at 7 months and I don't have a deal. Now we're at 8 months and I don't have a deal. Like, what caused you, speak to that a little bit. Like, what caused you to have that faith? And then walk us through, like, what it felt like when all those seeds that you planted started to bloom.
Okay, I have to write that down so I stay on track. Felt like, and okay, why did I stick with it? I knew in my gut that there's no way somebody works as hard as I do and as hard as I did and not get anywhere. That was my faith.
Say that all one more time.
Because of things.
Michelle, say all that one more time.
No way. Yeah.
All right, start over.
Out? Okay.
We had a little.
Can you hear me okay?
I can now. Go ahead and say all that again, please.
I knew that there was no way that someone who was working as hard as I was not going to succeed. I knew I was doing, at that point, I knew I was doing all of the right activities and I had the right mindset that it was coming, that the transactions were coming. I'd done it before. It was a gut feeling, but if you know when you're doing the wrong things, you know when you're sitting in front of that computer and you should be calling people and you're not, you slip out and go walk around Marshall's instead. You know when you're doing all the right activities, it's coming. It just is. Nobody works that hard and doesn't get something from it. So that's where the faith came from. The fear came from, I got to make this work because we're in debt and I'm not going to go work at the mall. I want to be there for my kids. I'm too old to work in, what else do I have? And so maybe some of us have too much of a cushion. I mean, I know I still had the support of a spouse and somebody, paying the bills at home, but I would have done this regardless of him. I would have just moved in with my mom or something and I would have. I've done that before, right? I just slept on someone's couch to make this work. So what it felt like doing that transaction was so much different than had I done that transaction 3 months after getting my license. That it took me 1.5 years. I felt prepared. I felt comfortable. I felt confident. I felt backed. Regardless of the fact that it was my first transaction, no one knew. I never said anything and no one sensed it. I had a different mindset because, like I said, I would have probably just gone out and bought a Range Rover. I had taken enough classes that I recognized that I wasn't going for the 16 transactions and the shopping sprees at Anthropology. Now, what I wanted and saw for myself as possible was a big life, and that excited me so much.
What's that
enough
mean to you?
The record deal didn't work out, guys. It didn't work out. You know, I spent from the time I was 8 till the time I was 30 believing in my gut and working towards that it would work out, and it didn't. I have no regrets about that it didn't work out because I know I gave it all that I could. That I had an opportunity again at 50. I'll be 52 next Saturday. That I had an opportunity at 50 to still make something memorable of my life. Now, I've done some great things. I have 3 beautiful children. I'm a part of saving a historic house in Roswell. I have some big things that I'm proud of that will leave a legacy. But this opportunity to make 200,000, 500,000, create jobs for people, give my kids a big life, take them to exotic places, allow my husband to quit his job. Those big goals, I didn't see possible. And I didn't say they weren't possible. I didn't see that on the horizon for myself when I got my real estate license. What I saw after becoming a part of Keller Williams and taking all the classes and finally having a transaction was, wow, this is more than real estate. I could make a big life. And that just is so exciting. Is that not exciting?
I think it's very exciting. I mean, I've been at KW a little over 10 years now, and there's really not a single segment of my world that has not been incredibly impacted by my affiliation with Keller Williams. Yep. I'm a totally different person. I think differently. I speak differently. My activities and habits are different. My bank account's a lot different, right?
Yep. There's a book. I mean, I've had vintage clothing business. There's no book that's like, here's how to open a vintage clothing shop. Here's how to be a successful Etsy follow. I mean, there is a book that is basically a business plan. Like, how can you fail?
You know what the book is to help people build an Etsy business or to help people build a clothing business?
It's still MREA.
Yeah.
It's still MREA. We're using it. It is. We're using it. Yeah. I'm like, we should be touching these people 3 times a month. We should be doing a 36 touch to all of our past clients that have bought product from us.
Exactly.
You know, we have their email and their Etsy handle and their address. Like why aren't we sending them postcards?
Right. What's the organizational chart here? Who reports to who? Do we need another person?
We've totally done one. And leverage was such a big eye opener for me in the Millionaire Real Estate book, because I'm a hard worker and I'm a do-it-all person. And I would beat myself up that I hate photographing my Etsy stuff. I hate measuring it. I hate shipping. I just want to shop for it. You know, I'm so lazy. Why do I hate all this stuff? I don't want to do it. And after reading the MRA, and it's like, because you shouldn't be doing it. You know, you should be doing what you're good at. No one can go out and shop for the stuff the way I do. That's my brand, what I'm picking and buying to sell. Someone else can clean it and steam it and photograph it and ship it. I don't need to do that. I mean, an 8th grader can do that, you know? So it's the same with real estate. You know, if I'm good at meeting people and making a lasting impression on them, that's what I should be doing, and do more of it, and take classes on how to elevate a natural talent to another level. Because there's a lot of people born with the gift of gab, but what if I take it to another level? What if I go to Toastmasters and learn how to speak in front of people without saying What if I read books and teach classes and learn how to teach classes, learn how to coach? What if I take that natural skill and elevate it, give everything else away, and create a job out of it? And I no longer felt guilty or inadequate. I felt empowered. I felt like, wow, I'm creating a job for somebody. Before I was like, God, I'm so lame. I can't do this. I'm so lazy. I'm so lame. So my mindset totally shifted, and I'm just feel blessed to have found Keller Williams, because I've worked for Disney World. I've worked for White House Black Market, big companies, and they ain't got nothing on this company.
No, I don't know if you just saw, Michelle, but what was it? what was the company? I thought I posted it in the group. Keller Williams was just named the number 33 company in the world for what is it? Glassdoor. Glassdoor.
Oh,
They just named Keller Williams the best place to work, number 33,
oh,
top company in the
that's
world, or
awesome.
top real estate company.
Yeah, I hate how passionate we are because people think we're freakos. And you know, if they were here and they could see it and they could be a part of it. I mean, my husband gets it now. It's because it's changed the way we run our lives and our household. It's changed the way we treat our children.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we're looking at investing. We've just changed so many things. So I
And
just
it comes when you least expect it. You know, like I
mhm,
forget where I read this. I think I saw it on a somebody that I'm friends with through Keller Williams
mhm,
posted on social media maybe, and I'll just give you an example. This is applicable to many of us here. They said rather than asking your kids what you want to be when you grow up,
mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Is that like, you know, if I ask my son what he wants to be right now, he'd say like firefighter, or
yeah,
like, you know, my daughter wants to like, be a somebody who blows up balloons at birthday parties, and like,
yeah,
and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but like
right,
people they can feel judged if it's not like, oh, I want to be a doctor or whatever, right? Ask them what
right.
problems they want to solve of the world
Oh,
that they want to solve,
yeah.
and then when they answer that question, you could say, so what do we think we need to learn in order to be
Mm,
better at solving those problems, right?
right.
Like I wouldn't, those are not concepts that come naturally to people,
Mm-mm,
right? And it's
mm-mm.
being around people that are like-minded and big thinking and learning based that causes
Yep,
us to be better parents and to be
yep,
better friends and to be better colleagues, right? So
yep.
I can't stress enough the impact that Keller Williams has had on me.
Oh, I,
So
I totally
so
agree.
Michelle, you
Hmm.
kept in 3 days. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. So
How,
I had, yeah, so I had a couple of transactions at the end of my uh, year, and then my second year was March. So I just kept filling the pipeline. I was aggressive with Facebook, with my kids' friends. Just, I'm a realtor. How can I help you? Coming from contribution as far as making the calls. So I started making cold calls in Martin's Landing. Well, then that transpired into I know all of these people that I've met once for 5 minutes, or I'm friends with on Facebook, or I met them at the pool, but we're Facebook friends and I know them and they know me and they know I'm a realtor and they'll call me when it's time to sell. That just wasn't flying. It was like they might know me, but I don't know them. And I took it upon myself to then start calling just people in Cub Scouts, um, people on Facebook. And I worked the system. So if I knew one person, I would say, you're friends with Kat. Kat and I are friends on Facebook and we talk all the time. Would you give me her phone number? I want to ask her a question about her daughter, because her daughter is in the same grade as my son. And they'd be like, sure. And they'd give it to me. And then I would call Kat and say, hey, Kat, it's Michelle Slater, your neighbor. Oh, hey, how are you doing? I'm like, good. I'm like, listen, it dawned on me, like, we're Facebook friends. I think I met you one time at the pool and our kids are in class together. We've never really met, have we? Oh, I guess not. I think we saw each other at the pool one time. And I mean, I follow you on Facebook. You're hilarious. And the conversations just go. The reason why I was able to do those calls was because I had done so many of those other ones previously to that. They just were easy.
pause. Say that again.
Mhm. The reason why I was able to make those calls is because I had done these other calls before, and that now it had become so easy. I'd made cold calls before. Now calling people, I thought it was scary, like call somebody that I kind of know. They're going to think I'm a total dork or like a stalker or something. That scared me. I'd rather, and I was still scared to call cold, but um, it it just seemed so easy, and the conversations were so easy, and I got 3 leads out of that. And I would just work it. I would say, well, who do you know? And how can I help? And why don't I just come look at your house and see maybe what paint colors you should consider? Even though you're not going to list until April and it's December, why don't I pop by, take a look? I'd hate for you to get all the way ready to list. And then I walk in and say, oh, yellow paint. So just whatever I could do to come from contribution. And then the next thing I knew, I had 5 transactions between like February and March, and my anniversary date was March 1st. So I closed 4 transactions in April, and then that was crazy. I mean, my head was coming off my neck, but Marie Burgess helped me, Kathy Ray helped me, Susan Corley helped me, and we got it done. And then COVID happened, but I still had people in the pipe, and I just kept doing what was working. And so I closed 16 units between the end of February and the end of December. That was I made $157,000 and sold for $4.9 million.
Is that the first time you'd made that much money?
Yes. The most I'd ever made in retail was $50,000. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was a lot of money.
What kind of impact did that have on your family?
It's a loaded question because he knows the answer. My husband and I paid off a tremendous amount of debt, which the number means nothing to me. The change in our lives because of the stress that debt had created made our marriage better. It allowed us to sell the house that we were very unhappy with for 7 years. It allowed us to sell that house and move into the house that we'd always wanted, that needed nothing. It's turnkey. It's huge. I mean, it's not huge, but it's a space we needed. When we moved into our last house, it was a fixer-upper, and I was pregnant with our 3rd son. By the time he was 2, we quickly realized, like, we can't live here. It's too small, because he works from home. Well, then COVID happened. Now I'm working from home. Now the kids are working from home. It was a nightmare. We paid off a ton of debt, and Kathy got us approved, and we found this house just what we needed, the space that we needed. It didn't need anything. The kitchen's been redone. It was just a godsend, and we were able to move. We did not like the school system we were in, so I had put our kids in a charter school. That charter school never opened. So now all of a sudden we're moving in, and we only moved 3 miles away, but we moved into this neighborhood where the school is a 10 out of a 10. We were in a neighborhood where the school was a 3 out of 10. So we were able to put our kids in a better school. I mean, just the difference in our lives. I mean, unfortunately, COVID keeps screwing that up because now we're back to them at home.
So I'm going to give you a tiny little script real fast. We won't go in. I won't push you to answer this question now, but this is a great example for you guys. When somebody starts talking about their goals like this, don't be afraid to say, so your kids are going to be in a new school district, and your family will have more space, right? Mm-hmm. And you'll be more confident. What is that going to mean to you guys? Like, if I really wanted to let you get even more emotional than you're probably on the brink of being right now, mm-hmm. I would probably say, tell me more about that, Michelle. What does that do for your family? Right?
Yeah, it's big. Find that pain and pleasure point for your clients. And the only way you're going to do that is to ask questions and shut your lips. Nobody cares about how much square footage they want and what style house they want. It's not about that. It's about, and I learned that quickly in the process of helping buyers and sellers find a house, this is not about 4 walls. This is about the life you're going to live in it and how it's going to improve by getting you out of here or getting you in there, whatever it is. And I can attest to that. Now I'm using that with my clients. Look, my life was turned upside down when COVID happened. I'm there with you. I can appreciate, I can't understand, but I can appreciate where you are. Let me tell you what buying the right house did for us. Let me tell you what buying the wrong house did for us.
All right, let me, you said something very interesting. I want to give you a chance to flesh that out. You said, I can appreciate that, yet I can't understand that. Can you,
Yeah.
These are all questions that I know the answer to, but I'm asking you because I want you to have a platform to share your knowledge with everyone. So what are you talking about?
Yeah, so if any of you are familiar with NLP, it's called neuro-linguistic programming.
Yep.
it's also the Keller Williams term for it would be the language of sales. And so Bill, sometimes I want to call you Billy. So Billy's he's teaching you those things, and they're just little nuances in the way you arrange words that change the responses that you're going to get. It's not, I mean, at first you're like, is it mind trickery? It is kind of, but in a good way, because you're helping them uncover their needs in a way that probably another agent's not going to. So and finding that's why I would say, you don't want to say like, I get it, I totally understand. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Yeah, you might have 3 kids like I have 3 kids, but I have 3 kids and one is handicapped, or one, mine are all girls and yours are all boys. I can't understand. I can appreciate it.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah,
no,
I
you
can
don't.
understand how hard.
You've not been in my shoes before. Oh, I've got a sick parent. I understand. Actually, no, you don't, because you don't have a sick parent. So
it's subliminal too, because they're not initially like irritated with you for saying you understand, but there's just something in our gut that's just doesn't feel heard, where that client's not going to feel heard. So repeating things back to them is important.
Yeah. And saying, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
What happens then? So by saying it that way, you're not pretending like you're in their shoes. You're just showing empathy for what they're experiencing, right?
You're creating trust by doing this. That's your goal, is to create trust, because I'll tell you, when you get into a lot of these transactions, you need people that will listen to your advice. And again, your advice isn't, I think you should buy this house. This is the one. There's nothing better out there. I'm not in this. I'm just a guide. I just spew data and facts and pros and cons, and you make those decisions. But you're going to build that trust if you learn to ask the right questions and respond in the best way possible, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do you, you obviously have learned a lot of language of sales, or NLP. Like, how do you stay fresh on that? Are you practicing? Like, how do you make sure that you stay on the top of your game?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that question, because I've recognized that I've stepped away from it for a while, and I'm not the master of it, and I'm not surrounded by people that are using it. So I'm cognizant that I could probably slip, and I'm not, taking it to the next level. So I'm love that you asked me, because it's in my business plan. It's on my calendar that I'm going to take an NLP weekend convention. It's like a 3-day course. And it's also on my calendar and in my business plan to take language of sales this year with Keller Williams.
I will tell you, I took language of sales in the fall.
Oh, okay.
I've taken it before, and I've studied a lot of that outside of KW. However, it is like it is a game changer.
Yep.
Like it is probably the outside of career visioning, it's probably my favorite course.
Oh, good.
In the entire Keller Williams curriculum.
Well, I'm surrounding I try to, COVID has been a challenge, because what I was purposeful about was taking classes with people who use the language. So, because you can feed off of them. Like I get on the team meeting calls, not because of the topics, but because I love to hear Aubrey talk.
Yeah.
Because he uses it a lot. And so just having him in my head, I hear him doing it, the tie downs, the words in the right arrangement.
Yeah.
Andy Peters is another one who's really good at it. He might be talking about profit share, and I'm just like, that's not my bag today, but I'm going to listen because I like to hear him talk, because he uses it. So I was purposeful about
enough, what are those two people? They have taken advantage of some pretty incredible opportunities.
Yes. Yep. So I'm definitely looking for an NLP convention. Some people did it last year and they were like, wow, mind blown. And then the language of sales, surrounding myself with people who use it so that I can elevate myself to the next level. Because ultimately I'm working to build a team. How can I teach someone to do it if I've not been taught been poured into. I'm just teaching them what I learned 2 years ago. That's not putting them at the top. So I'm thinking about my future employee as well.
So actually, I'm glad that was my next question.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to we've got about 10 minutes left or so. I want to
Yeah.
make sure we're respectful of your time.
Thank you.
And also want to give everyone a chance to ask questions if they have them. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to share, like, what can we expect from you? Like,
Yeah.
you got a new platform, right? You've started to teach some classes. You're on the ALC. You're making money. You're having fun. Like, where's Michelle Slater going to be in like the next couple of years? What can we expect from you?
Thank you for asking. I love to teach. I was teaching, back even when I was like doing modeling and acting. I was, I've always loved to teach, and I get so much out of the classes that we've been taught, and I feel like I've picked up a lot of. I take notes, and I pick up a lot of their demeanor and the way that they engage a class and influence a class, and so really it was a natural progression for me to teach. And now I've been so honored to have been inducted onto the ALC, the Agent Leadership Council. Quite honestly, I mean, I was so excited when I got it, but then when we had our first couple of initial meetings and Aubrey told us the expectations and what the office is going to be doing for us, and how in turn that's going to help the agents in the office, I got scared. I was like, wow. I have to be a shining example. And then I got humbled because I was like, wow, I'm not being arrogant now. I just am saying like, wow. So Andy Peters thinks I can do this. Like Andy Peters thinks I can close 46 units this year. Like he thinks I could become a productivity coach one day. Like, I'm like, yeah, I could do it. And then when someone like that thinks you can, you're like, oh gosh, that's scary. But it's eye-opening. You're like, well, if they think I can, then I have such huge respect for him, right? So it's like, if he thinks I can, then I must be capable of it. And I'm not living up to my capabilities. And that would be a waste. That would be a shame. So I have
it's interesting. Like, I'm sure Aubrey said something very similar to you guys. It's like, hey, listen, I just want to make sure you understand something. Your face is going to be on the wall. Okay.
Yeah.
So people will be coming to you, asking you questions about stuff, and you better be you better be capable of answering those questions.
I can't sit here and say to you, I call 5 people every day, and at the end of the year, I've closed 12 transactions, and it's like, well, I'm going to call 5 people every day, and all I'm going to get is 12 transactions because that's what she said she's doing, and that's all she got. And really, behind the scenes, I'm not calling 5 people. I mean, you just can't.
Or like,
you've got to walk the walk.
Victoria's a new agent, and she comes up to you and she says, hey, I got this objection about commission from this prospect. How have you dealt with that in the past? And you can't like quickly answer that, then you lose validity. And then honestly, then the other leaders lose validity because Aubrey put you on that platform.
Yeah. Right? So all of you guys that are watching should know right now, even if I've never met you, you are my inspiration. You guys are what's driving me right now. I can't let you down. I have got to show you that this is possible because I know it's possible. And I owe it to you because some of you out there have big lives that you are capable of living and you just don't know it yet because you haven't yet believed it in yourself. But I feel some sense of responsibility. It won't be for everybody, right? But it's some sense of responsibility to say like, man, she came from the bottom and worked her way up. I can too.
Yeah.
And I see that and it's a huge responsibility. So I write a business plan, and yes, I have a board of directors, and yes, we will be meeting again. Bill's on my board of directors, and we will do a better job this year.
Real briefly, what is that?
A board of directors, every company should have one. It's a group of 5 to 7 people who are looking at your business plan and somewhat holding you accountable. They're almost like stockholders. So at first I thought, why would anybody want to do that? That sounds very time consuming, and these are busy people. Everyone that was on it loved it. They gave me such great information.
You offered us chips and salsa.
Yeah, there might have been a margarita involved too. And what I told them was, hey, if I achieve these goals, we're all going to go on a trip at the end of the year, all expenses paid, you and your spouse or whoever you choose to bring with you. It gave you guys an opportunity, right? You were like, I mean, everybody learns when you give. So it was a kind of a win-win, but here's my business plan for next year. It took me months to write it. I've rewritten it 100 times. I'm also reading the book, The 12-Week Year. So I wrote a business plan for the next 12 weeks. I'm committed to closing 12 units in the next 12 weeks. I know exactly down to the number, how many people I need to call every day, how many people I need to put in my database every day. I got my bold calendar. Took me a long time to come around to the paper calendar and pencil, but I finally went, you know what? Why am I trying to reinvent the wheel? Gary Keller might be older than me, and that's why he uses a paper calendar and pencil. And then one day I realized, you know what? Who cares why Gary Keller is using a paper calendar and a pencil? If it's good enough for Gary Keller and he's had success, why in the world would I try to do it differently? So I have a paper calendar and I only write with pencil, and I sit down every Sunday night and I write my 411 based on my business plan.
Whoa, hold on. You plan out your week every week?
I plan out my week.
Wait, you have a 411?
I have a 411.
Y'all, I'm not just telling you this stuff because I got nothing better to do.
I can't not do it now. Does anybody have a phone charger? No, I know. Sorry, guys. I can't not write a 411 now. It feels weird. I'm over the summer when we were allowed to get out and go out on the lake on the drive back to the house from Lake Lanier. I would be in the car writing my 411 on Sunday night. So I know how many people I have to call every week, and I write out. I decide who am I calling. I'm using the D2 system, and I've got it at the top of my calendar. So I'm time blocking.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm time blocking, and then I'm writing in my calendar on Sunday night who I'm calling every day that week and when, so that I'm not sitting at my desk on Monday morning going, okay, let me get started. Who should I call?
Whose priorities can I tend to today outside of mine?
No, it's purposeful. I think that's probably the biggest thing. If you walk away with nothing else, be purposeful about what you're doing. Stop being willy-nilly. I did that for 2 years and it got me nowhere but a big mountain of debt.
Yeah.
And don't stop because you aren't getting the results. If you're doing the right activities and you're working hard, results will come. Nobody works hard and does all the right things and doesn't get results.
Yep.
Black or white. Yep. Right.
So
46 closed units is the goal this year. I would have just said, oh, I closed 16. Let me do 24. And Aubrey said, you're just going to repeat the same behaviors and amp them up a little bit and do more of them right. And that'll get you the 24, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, what if you amped yourself up for 46? What would you have to do? And I'm like, well, I'd have to do more things. I'd have to do different things. What would those different things look like? Well, I'd probably have to call FSBOs. I'd probably have to hire someone to take care of my Facebook, all these things. And it was like, what would happen if at the end of the year you did all these different activities, but you still didn't close 46? What would happen to you? And I'm like, wow, if I called FSBOs all year, they'd probably be like a no-brainer. They'd be like so easy. And it was like, what's more important, becoming somebody different in the process, or just closing 24 units next year and then 32 the year after that and 46 the year after that? So I jumped on board with 46.
And I think that's an awesome goal. And I think that that's in route to that goal, which we all believe
it's who you become.
You're going to become a brighter and wiser woman, and a brighter and wiser business person. And again, I'm proud to watch it from my seat. And I there's not a lot of people, Michelle, that are that vocal and that this is gonna happen type people, right? And you made a big impact on me by walking in my office that day and handing me that sheet of paper that's like, I will be on the ALC next year. And I think that is just awesome. So like I said, I want to be respectful of your time. Did anyone have any questions for Michelle? Anything covered a lot of what this was great. We
Thank
touched on
you.
a lot of different things. Who has a question for Michelle? Anyone?
I'm an open book.
I have a question.
By the way, for those
it's
that might
Victoria.
listen to this, on video, I suspect, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but Michelle does have an office at the office,
Yep.
and she's going to be running a FSBO class coming up, so we'll have some more details on that. But she is definitely embodies the KW culture of shearing, and I'm proud to call you a colleague. And if you have some questions for her in the future, she would love to help you. Victoria, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. I was actually going to bring up the FSBO class, but my other question for you is, you talked about you have to change some behaviors between what you closed this year or last year and what you're planning to close this year. What is the difference, I guess, is what I'm asking, between last year and this year being 46?
Okay. First of all, it's getting command straight. So we were very loose about command. My assistant and I, we have people in there, but we're not utilizing it to the maximum. In other words, there's a lot of automated systems I could put in place and be more purposeful about that. We're kind of willy-nilly, green light, red light, green light. So this year I hired a marketing company and I created the dates of when the newsletters are going to go out. We're being more purposeful about birthdays. Making sure that everybody gets a birthday card, home anniversaries. So that's one thing, is tightening up on command. We started last week of buckling down and tightening up command because we need those systems to run. The other thing is calling for sale by owners. If you had told me a year ago that I was going to teach classes about for sale by owners, I'd have told you that I've never been a redhead. I mean, it was just, no, it was never going to happen. And it's a long story how it happened, but I have really good odds with for sale by owners. And I know I don't want them to be the crux of my business, but if I could get 12, I called 8 last year and got 4. So how many do I need to call to get 12? I mean, come on, that's like a no brainer. So if I can get 12, there's 12 right there. And the 4 that I got have sent me 2 referrals. That's 6.
Well, hell,
that's for calling like 12 FSBOs.
If you told me that I could make, what did you say, 8 phone calls and get 4 transactions, which was probably close to 40 grand in commissions, I would do just about anything. You're going to pay me 40 grand.
Right. Now that, and again, hear this, because I didn't pick up the phone and start calling FSBOs. I was in productivity coaching and learned scripts. I practiced scripts. I learned language of sales. I learned how to study the market. There's work behind that. If I had just picked up the phone and started doing that 3 weeks after I got my license without a coach and without, I don't know, would I have the same results? Absolutely not. But so more on the FSBO thing. I'm going to get some information from you guys, because I've got something coming up for you that's going to help build some accountability more so than you already have, and give you some engagement. And more on that later. But so those are 2 activities right there. The third is, I think, just the 46. I don't know. It's FSBOs. It's being more tight in command and being better about the 36 touch. So the postcards, the follow up, and being purposeful about the 10 calls a day. I wasn't
I was going to say, and probably just an ongoing refinement of your time management. Right?
Yeah, because let's face it, I can't close 46 units. I'm going to need a showing assistant. I'm going to need a buyer's agent. And I'm not in a position to hire either of those right now. So I've been working up to a showing agent. I started using Key Please, and I found this really great young man who I think represents my brand well. And so he's off and running to helping me with that. And I'm happy to give him $100. Like, you guys are paying 25. I'm like, hey, because it's a lot more affordable than giving him right now the 25% commission until I'm ready to do it.
There'd be a holdout. $25 a door is not enough.
No, and I'm sorry, but I don't want.
Every single agent in GLG should hold out on Key Please, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I honestly don't want.
We need a union. $25 $25 a door. bullshit. Excuse me.
It is, yeah. I honestly, I don't want just anybody opening the door. I know it's just, oh, turn the key, but I don't want anybody just opening the door. I want someone who's going to be a representation of me. So it makes me a little uncomfortable of just like, hey, somebody who's had their license 3 days. I mean, I already just the calls I get from the person doing it, I'm like, really? Like, bust your way in, so I'm being purposeful about that, like going ahead and building a platform. I'm not going to be retro. I'm not going to be reactive to it. I'm going to be proactive. So I'm building a relationship with somebody that I know can show houses for me and giving back to him. I'm not just expecting him to do it for me. It's like, what do you need in your business that I could help you with? And the same, I've built a relationship with Marinelli Del Caro in the office, and we just did a deal together. She's a great listing agent. She's a really great listing agent. So
yeah, I think if I paid Pam $25 a door, we would not have an 8-year plus relationship.
No, that's for sure. Yeah. So
we
those are some of the things.
would not. I'm with you, Bill.
Yeah.
I've seen.
She would have dropped me in 2013.
I've seen those $25, and I'm like, no, it's not worth $25 to me to do that.
Yeah. I'm also,
I mean,
it's a lot, but
spend that time working on your business.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Did that answer your question, Victoria?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
So
Anyone
what other
else?
questions do you guys have for me?
Well, Michelle will be, she'll be in our office as a leader for a long time. So if you guys think of something that you want to share, stop by her office, message her. She is a giver in many, many ways. And like I said, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate all that you've given to the Market Center, and I'm excited to see you have a new platform at the office, and I'm excited to what committee are you running?
Yes, oddly enough, I'm running the productivity committee, which is getting more producers in the office and helping people increase their productivity. I begged for that committee. It was something I'm very passionate about. I've recently been there, guys. I've recently been there, and I remember what it's like to be struggling and to be new and have just enough transactions to justify being in the business to it growing. So I empathize with where you are. I do want a quick plug. I need you all to shoot me an email if you're interested in the books that I recommend you read. I know Billy's got his stack, so our list is very similar. And I also have a list of classes I recommend that are somewhat of a must take. I recognize that there are a lot of classes and it can be overwhelming. And because I did it, there's like 9 or 10 of them that I say, if you could just take these, a lot of this will become very clear. So I have a list of books, a list of classes, and then I have a list of things that my assistant does. And I have some scripts too. So if you're interested, shoot me an email at Michelle with 2 L's, King/Slater@kw.com. And let me know, and I'm happy to share those with you. And yes, keep your eye open because I have an opportunity coming in the next couple of weeks where you guys can join us via Zoom or Facebook Live or right here in the office.
All right, I just sent you an email.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's compare our lists.
Exactly. Michelle, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm super grateful for everything that you do and have done. So congratulations on a wonderful year. Congratulations on 3xing your goal for next year. That's awesome. And I'm here to support however I possibly can.
Yeah, what the mentality was, I closed 3 that first year, so I closed 16 the next year, so I did 800% more. So it was like, oh, why can't I do 800% more the following year? Stop by and ask me what I'm going to do with the money from those 46 transactions.
Nice. All right, tell me when the next board of directors meeting is, okay?
I will.
All right, see you soon. Thank you.